Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly program where we give you 2 to 3 interesting tech stories in the news, find some cool library fact for you, and send you on your way in 15 to 20 minutes. Creation Station at broward.org always comes to us if you have stories to recommend for the week. You might have noticed we're recording a little early because here in the U.S. it is the Thanksgiving Day holiday. So we're recording a little early this week. And thank you so much for being here, Sir Hadi, to do this with me this week. How you been doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well.
And Hadi's up there at Hollandale. If you guys haven't done, he's down at one of our the southernmost branch.
It is basically, I could throw a stone and it lands in Miami-Dade County.
Yeah, and that's an inside joke for anyone who's down here in South Florida about Key West and the southernmost bureau of most places of what goes on around here. We've got some interesting fun stories for the week. So let me bring up the browser and share these. And it seemed like we were a little dark the last couple of weeks. I had somebody mention that I had a lot of doom and gloom stories. So this week we tried to find some fun, easier, nicer stories. And here's one about AI, not necessarily taking over the world, but making us all better artists. There is a new NVIDIA has a new AI that you can type in a sentence and then it will create a photorealistic image of that sentence. What did you think about some of these pictures that they were doing there?
So when I saw the ones where it says ocean waves hitting the rocks,
Yeah. Yeah.
I almost thought that was like it was like to the point where I thought that was something like caught on video, but instead, you know, I mean, it's really amazing when you think about like the applications that you could do into not only for photography, but like movies,
Oh, yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, like the thing too is it's like AI has always been limited by limited by creativity, but
Hmm.
this looks like one of those barriers is being broken, you
Yeah.
know.
And this is the same stuff that they're using to do deep fakes. This is the same technology, the same idea of doing this regenerative imaging, but in this case, using it just to create from scratch without even having that original image to start with. And I love this one picture I've got up here of the lake surrounded by on a foggy day. I think that they hit this one on the nail. I mean, this is just like, wow. It's the right kind of trees. It's the right atmosphere for it. It just feels like that, it just is such a nice, it's a pretty picture. Any photographer would be happy with this one. And they nailed down what the description was without having anything to go by other than those words.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, like the applications, like not only, professionally, but like, creativity wise,
Yeah.
you know, I could in one of the background pictures, we could just have that just AI generated.
Yeah. Oh,
Which
it's amazing. It's just
it,
crazy,
it it
amazing fun.
also, yeah, because it also reminds me of like how I was reading online, how some people like got AI to like read an entire season of like Friends, like a script, and generate an episode, which
Hmm.
was like kind of the crude version, but this is like the next step
Yeah.
up. Yeah. That.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to put any professional photographers out of business. I've got a couple friends who do, and I know they can just do an amazing, amazing stuff. But if you're hiring an artist, this might be a way of doing that. If you need some basic background images, like you said, it's a really straightforward way. Um, our next story, totally random, totally different, popped up in my feed, and I laughed because my sister's a huge fan of zebras.
Hmm.
And so I knew it would pop up. I know that's why it popped up in my feed. And the classic idea is a zebra a white horse with black stripes, or is it a black horse with white stripes? And they actually have a definitive answer now. And it is based mostly on how the DNA and how the individual stripes work and the hair follicles of it. Did you care that much about zebras, Hadi?
No, my choice of animal has been dolphins and mostly marine life has
Mine's
been like my kind of obsession, but
mine has always been giraffes. Um, but so to get through this, um, what happens is zebras have black skin, and the hair follicles, the melanin in there creates different hair coloring based on it. So if you take away that melanin, it would all grow out as pure black hair. And so the default is a black skin with black hair growing out, and it's the biological quirk of zebras, of the three existing branches of zebras, that they grow these white hairs in a pattern, which led me to this weird other page of the quagga,
oh yeah.
which, yeah, wasn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
So
And
whether
I
it's,
also
yeah,
when I was
tell me.
yeah, so when I was reading up on the article, I I did a little bit of searching, and if you do like a Google search and look up black zebras, you know, there's of course always like,
Hmm.
some defects, and then I saw there's some zebras that are just born all black, which yeah, reinforces the article.
Yeah, and it was really interesting, and as I started getting into this whole thing of, and now how do you quantify and qualify zebra stripes, and it was a fun article. I just had to laugh when I found this one. I was like, my goodness, my sister's gonna love this stuff.
One of
And
my
just
yeah.
tracking down how many stripes per part of the body and all these various things, and how do you track it over time by generation of how they evolved and how the different hereditary statistics are. And I was just like, okay, this is a make me smile. This is kind of a fun story to go out there and look. And you were
It's one
saying,
of those
Hadi.
really interesting ones. But no, I was also about to say like how your family members like really into zebras. I have another a family friend um who's way into otters.
Oh, nice. Otters are a
So
lot of
it's
fun.
like me basically sending pictures of otters every once in a while. But I do like the evolutionary development of like, what they showed on this page.
Yeah, with all the how the different stripes, I got the picture up of how the different stripes, the
Yeah.
top three are the current, or were the current. The one on the left is a quagga, which is currently extinct, but they're rebreeding them now. And then the two standard zebra types, and then down below are the older ones that are all extinct now, and how their stripes evolved over time. Um, it was just like, you know what? There is always going to be a quirk, a thing you can find, and no matter what hole you think you're going down, you're going to find more and more detail about that out here on the internet, which is one of the fun things about being in a library where we get to do all this research and try and see all sorts of different stuff.
It's
And
really easy to fall down some of those rabbit holes, especially
I
when you're
know, isn't it?
searching for a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this, I mean, like you said, my thing is giraffes. I mean, I was lucky enough to get a chance to go to Africa and go out on safari and go out on a walking safari. And when you're out there walking in the bush and you see a giraffe walking, they're darn. You think they're impressive when you see them, maybe on film or in a zoo or whatever. When you're face to face with those, they're darn impressive animals. They're amazing to see like that, and to go out there and walk around with them. It's a lot
And
of
also
fun.
just a lot taller than you realize they are.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they are way, way, way up there. And then our final story for the day, the one that I thought was really cool, is the Smithsonian has got a brand new architectural exhibit. It's part of using AI again, kind of this whole theory that we've got to the whole theory today of, but the idea is that this is a way for different people to get together and design a city block. You give it your inputs, like we talked about in the first story with the
Mhm.
photos. You give it some inputs, and like one of you is a commercial person, one of you is a residential person, one of you is an environmentalist, and the three of you have to negotiate and give your inputs for why and how you want your city block to evolve based on what's important on your side of view, and it grows naturally like that. Now it's out at the new Art and Industries building. I'll show a different article about the building in just a second. But I think this is just a little bit less complicated or more complicated than trying to play Sims. Do you remember SimCity?
Yep,
Not The
SimCity.
Sims, but
I grew up on it.
SimCity. Yeah.
That was during my middle school and high school days, SimCity. But it also, it also gave me vibes of Settlers of Catan.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
So to
Yeah.
me, like, because like SimCity is more of like a single player, but then there was the Settlers of Catan, like that multiplayer aspect
Mm-hmm.
of this this simulation. Especially when you're, talking about negotiations, like, do we want to have something a little bit more industrial at the expense of environmental? Or do we want something that's more, commercial to bring in the money, but it may not like work out in some other areas?
Yeah. And that whole idea of, one of the classic things, if nobody's ever played it before, SimCity is a simulation game of you building a city. You go out and you lay down residential, commercial, industrial blocks, plus support things. So, the people in a residential don't want to travel more than 3 blocks to a commercial district, or however the little algorithms are deciding things. So it's a really interesting way of just exploring and building on your own, and experimenting. And then once you've built up your city, you get to, have natural disasters and see how you can respond and build and grow and things. And yeah, this one came out to the whole idea of, you want a low carbon footprint. So you want your people to live right near where they're going to be shopping or working, but you also need those trees and then the wildlife. And then if you've got those trees right next to the residential areas, maybe some of the residential stuff's not going to be so happy with that. Some of your residential people don't necessarily want to live in the woods.
Yeah. Maybe they want, some more, maybe a shopping thing, or perhaps just some retail.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of these ideas. And by the way, I'm just scrolling through here showing you some of the images. There's a lot of really fun things here. Autodesk, which is the people who make AutoCAD,
Mm-hmm.
and all the 3D design software. They're the ones who teamed up with the Smithsonian to pull off the how to show the outputs that the AI comes up with. Um, and they actually point out that you can't just turn the AI free on this, because the AI is just going to generate whatever it thinks on based on the algorithm is going to work right. And if you ask for a totally low carbon footprint, the AI may just make it all wilderness, and there you go. Go live in a tent.
It boils down to the most efficient means of something, which
Yeah.
is not exactly the ideal.
Yeah, which we are not going to. And so Architectural Digest did a story on the new Art and Industries building. This picture that I've got up is what it used to look like back in the 1800s, and they have totally revamped it and rebuilt it to what it looks like today, that just reopened. Um, and I really am looking forward to a chance to get back up there and see this one now, because this is one of the few that I haven't been in of the Smithsonian's,
Hmm.
of all the various different museums, because it's been closed forever. It's been closed for I think it was 22 years it took to renovate the entire place. And some of these things are just huge.
That
Um,
probably set them back a couple $100.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Um, and remember, this is the Smithsonian. This is America's attic. This is where you go find all the miscellaneous stuff from Apollo capsules to red ruby slippers and all sorts of things. So it's definitely a fun, worthwhile trip if you ever make it to DC. It's the last two trips to
Haven't
DC
been to
I've done. I
DC.
didn't do anything but the convention I was at and then wandering the Smithsonian's. It was just so much
That's
fun.
actually one of my things I may want to do,
Yeah.
or it's basically on my bucket list.
Oh, it's awesome. No, you got to go. You got to go see and go try out what's going on around there because it is definitely worthwhile. Um, ch- I know people think, oh, why do I want to go to a museum? Trust me, you get a chance to go and see some amazing things, something you didn't know didn't know about, and things that you didn't know you were going to be interested in. And that's the happy note that I want to leave everybody on is there's something out there for you. And you don't know what it is yet, but you're going to find it. And the libraries can help you get there.
There are virtual tours too.
There are too.
Yeah.
There's actually some interesting Google 3D imaging also of some of the stuff. And fun library fact, you can go to the Smithsonian 3D printing site and 3D print some of those artifacts here at the library.
That would
Maine,
be really neat,
Pompano,
especially.
Northwest Regional. Yeah, we have 3D printers and you could go print artifacts from the Smithsonian here at the library.
Yeah. And just to let everyone know, speaking of like natural museum, the Natural Museum of Natural History, which I
Mm-hmm.
just they also have themselves a virtual narrated tour that's pretty much you could look it up on YouTube or on their website. Um,
Yeah. There's some amazing stuff. The Smithsonian does a really great job for everybody in the US and beyond because now with the internet, like you just said, Adi, anybody has access to this now. You don't have to fly here
exactly.
from Saudi Arabia. You can just see it and do it. It's an amazing, amazing thing.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, we are is the you still have the virtual goggles
Yeah,
available.
we do. We have the virtual reality gear at Pompano and at Main Library. Getting it back out to Margate and Sunrise soon. So doing we've got our virtual Arlic exhibit out there also. So in fact, Wednesday when I come back from the holiday, that's I've got a meeting out there to doing the next iteration of the virtual Harlem. So starting that off is going to be a lot of fun. But tell us what's going on at Hollandale. What's going on down there, Hadi?
Speaking about virtually, we do have our English cafes every Tuesday from 4 to 5:30. So once I'm done here, I'll be hopping over onto the English cafe.
Excellent.
And yeah, and then we're doing next month we'll have a story time, kind of like a soft opening version. And then in January we're
In
just
person. You're doing
yeah,
the in-person story times.
in-person story
Great.
time. But it's more of like a soft opening. And then in January is when we hit the ball and go straight into in-person at a limited
Yeah.
capacity. And those events are available on our events website. You could go
Yep.
through
Broward.org/library
broward.org/.
slash events. Yep. Go
Yep.
on there. And
Uh,
remember, folks, that all these different in person events are all pre registration because we have limited seating for most of these. So please hit the events page, check out your local library, check out what kind of events you're looking for around the county, and register so that you can come in and be part of this. The libraries have done a really good job of working on revamping some of the spaces while we didn't have in person programming there so that we could make sure that all that was working for people. So please take advantage of this time and come and do this. And
yeah,
thank you
and
for letting me take advantage of you on a day like this, Hadi.
thank you. And then just wanted to leave off with one other thing.
Tell me.
So the one thing I learned recently is that filmmaker Peter Jackson was has the largest private collection of World War One airplanes, which
Yeah.
is really neat.
See the fun things we find at libraries. You're
Yeah,
looking up one
and it
thing and you
just
stumble upon something else.
when you talked about the Smithsonian, that's what like
Yeah.
brought up to mind.
Yeah, it
But
is. It's just,
thank you.
it's great.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, anytime, anytime. So let's get this final slide up there for everybody here. So, thank you guys. Thank you, Hadi, for being here with us. Everybody, Creation Station at Broward.org comes right to me. If you want your favorite librarian or favorite library featured on the show, let us know. Everybody have a safe and happy holiday season. We'll see you all next week. Have a great day.
All right.